Everywhere the Trump administration tries to put new camps, new ICE facilities and ICE prison camps, they're being pushed back. Now, this is something we've been trying to cover here on this show in recent weeks. I do feel like we're sort of starting to get our arms around it, but I just want to say to our friends in the national media, we could use some help on this story. I think this is an important story, and it'd be great to have more national media attention to it.
The Olympics just delivered what sources are calling devastating blow to Donald Trump's plans for using international sporting events as propaganda opportunities, and the implications might extend far beyond just one mayor's decision. We're not talking about quiet diplomatic concerns expressed privately. We're talking about reports that the mayor of Milan, Italy, has publicly announced that ICE agents are not welcome in his city during the Winter Olympics, that he called them a militia that kills, and said it's clear they have no place at international sporting event. And what might make this moment so significant is the timing and precedent it sets. While Trump administration announced ICE would help with Olympic security, while Trump looks forward to World Cup and 2028 Los Angeles Olympics as opportunities for his typical spectacles, international officials are reportedly saying no. When mayor of major Olympic host city publicly rejects American law enforcement presence because of their human rights abuses, that's not typical diplomatic friction. That could be beginning of international isolation where Trump's toxicity makes hosting global events in United States untenable. But before we break down how Milan's rejection of ICE could spiral into Olympic Committee reconsidering Los Angeles 2028 and what that means for Trump's remaining time in office, real quick, you cannot trust mainstream media to explain the international implications of ICE's transformation into domestic terror organization. That's why we built Patrick Smith Show to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want analysis that actually connects Milan mayor's decision to broader pattern of communities nationwide rejecting ICE facilities and what this means for Trump's ability to use sporting events as propaganda, hit that subscribe button right now. All right, let's get into what Milan mayor's announcement reveals and why sources suggest it represents inflection point for international community's tolerance of Trump administration's tactics. Because the mayor didn't use diplomatic language or express vague concerns. Reports indicate he specifically called ICE a militia that kills, a militia that enters into the homes of people, signing their own permission slips. That's not subtle criticism. That's public characterization of American law enforcement as violent extremist organization that operates outside legal constraints. When officials hosting international events speak that bluntly about your agents, you've lost legitimacy that can't be recovered through spin. ICE killed Alex Prey and Renee Good in Minneapolis. Detained championship-winning Dodgers pitcher for over 3 hours. Milan mayor reportedly recognized that having ICE present at Olympics creates security threat rather than enhancing security. Let's start by establishing the pattern of communities nationwide rejecting ICE facilities because sources suggest Milan's decision fits into broader movement gaining momentum. Reports indicate communities across America in unexpected places are uniformly pushing back against Trump administration's attempts to build detention camps. Durant, Oklahoma held packed meeting where locals said they don't want ICE turning warehouse into prison. Local government then passed ordinance giving them power to reject such facilities. Think about what's happening elsewhere. Roxbury, New Jersey, where all Republican local government passed resolution blocking ICE from converting warehouse into detention center. Hutchins, Texas, where mayor said they won't allow ICE prison. Orange County, New York, where packed town halls led officials to reject facility. Kansas City, Missouri, passing 5-year ban on non-municipal detention facilities, specifically to block ICE. This pattern spans red and blue states, conservative and liberal areas. Social Circle, Georgia, where local Republican officials blocked ICE from using vacant warehouse. Salt Lake City, Utah, where residents protested in early morning cold fog when they heard ICE was inspecting potential site, leading real estate firm to announce they won't sell property to federal government. Hagerstown, Maryland, with protests attended by Senator Chris Van Hollen. Each successful rejection emboldens other communities. Each victory proves ICE can be stopped. Sources suggest communities recognize what ICE actually does, not just enforcing immigration law, but terrorizing families, killing unarmed people, operating outside constitutional constraints. When you watch Alex Prey murdered on video for trying to protect women being assaulted by federal agents, communities might calculate ICE presence makes them less safe. Each blocked facility means fewer places to detain people. If enough communities reject facilities, the entire deportation operation becomes logistically impossible. But let's talk about what ICE's actions mean for international sporting events and why sources suggest athlete safety has become legitimate concern. Reports indicate concrete examples of ICE targeting athletes and creating conditions where international competitors might legitimately fear coming to United States. A starting pitcher for World Series champion Dodgers was detained for over 3 hours entering the country. If championship-winning professional still gets detained for hours, what happens to less prominent athletes from countries Trump doesn't like? Sources suggest ICE operates without restraint at borders. They're not following normal protocols about who gets detained or how long. They exercise authority arbitrarily based on appearance, accent, or origin. Athletes traveling internationally might face detention, causing them to miss events. When ICE has demonstrated they'll kill unarmed American citizens, why would foreign athletes assume they're safe? Think about specific Olympics scenarios. Athletes from Latin American countries might be targeted given Trump's rhetoric. Muslim athletes could face discrimination given administration policies. Black athletes from Africa or Caribbean might be profiled. ICE isn't bound by normal diplomatic protocols protecting international visitors. That creates an environment where countries might tell athletes it's not safe to compete here. Trump announced ICE will be at Super Bowl. Why? Who are they targeting at an event where tickets cost tens of thousands? The presence of ICE at sporting events allegedly isn't about security. It's about creating visible displays of force that intimidate people and demonstrate Trump's power. Share this video with everyone you know because there's reportedly precedent for this concern. Other countries have faced Olympic boycotts over human rights issues. If enough nations decide Trump administration's immigration tactics constitute human rights abuses, boycott discussion might move from fringe to mainstream consideration. Empty stadiums at Los Angeles Olympics would be visible humiliation. Let's examine what Milan mayor's specific decision reveals and why sources suggest it required courage American officials should emulate. He didn't express quiet concerns through diplomatic channels. Reports indicate he made public announcement that ICE is not welcome, calling them militia that kills and enters homes signing their own permission slips. That's extraordinary language for mayor hosting international sporting event to use about American law enforcement. The factual basis is documented. ICE agents did kill Alex Prey and Renee Good. They do raid homes using administrative warrants they generate themselves, rather than judicial warrants signed by judges. Sources suggest Milan mayor looked at that record and concluded having such organization present creates unacceptable risk, not just to immigrants, but to anyone who might encounter ICE during event. Think about what decision cost politically. Italy has complex relationship with United States, including NATO alliance, economic ties, diplomatic considerations. Taking public stand against American law enforcement at major international event creates tensions affecting multiple government levels. Sources indicate Milan mayor made that calculation and decided athlete and visitor safety matters more than avoiding diplomatic friction. There's reportedly question of what Olympic Committee does now. If one mayor says ICE not welcome, does committee intervene? Or do they recognize mayor has legitimate concerns about organization known for killing people? Committee faces choice between supporting host city protecting residents and visitors or deferring to Trump administration that created crisis. If Milan successfully excludes ICE from Winter Olympics, that creates precedent for Los Angeles. Let's talk about Los Angeles 2028 specifically, and why sources suggest it represents everything Trump wants to control but might not be able to. Timing is significant. Summer Olympics will happen late July into August 2028. That's mere months before November presidential election. Trump will be in final months of presidency, either looking to influence successor or simply trying to maintain relevance as lame duck. Sources suggest Trump will want ICE everywhere, not for security but for optics. visible displays of federal agents in tactical gear, checkpoints and security theaters demonstrating his control, potential raids or arrests during events generating news coverage. Olympics become campaign rally where international athletes and visitors are props in his political theater. There's specific problem with Los Angeles location. California has been resistant to Trump's immigration policies. Governor and mayor have both pushed back against ICE operations. Sources indicate they're not going to willingly participate in turning Olympics into Trump propaganda event. But Trump has federal authority that might override local preferences. That creates potential for conflict. Think about what happens if boycott discussion becomes serious. If enough countries express concerns about athlete safety, if Olympic Committee starts questioning whether Los Angeles can safely host given ICE's record, that would be catastrophic humiliation. His signature event showing American greatness potentially canceled or moved because world doesn't trust his administration. Share this with everyone because there's also practical question of whether Trump will even be there. He canceled Super Bowl appearance allegedly because distance was too far, but really because he'd be booed. Sources suggest he'll face similar reception at Los Angeles Olympics. Does he really want that humiliation broadcast globally? But Olympics aren't only major event Trump wants to weaponize. Sources suggest there's more immediate concern about how he might use ICE to interfere with 2026 midterms and 2028 elections. Pattern of ICE operations in Democratic cities, pattern of creating fear in immigrant communities, pattern of operating outside constitutional constraints all point toward potential use of these forces to suppress votes. Timing of Olympics in relation to November 2028 election creates opportunity for spectacular show of force right before Americans go to polls. Think about what ICE could do at polling places. Show up claiming to verify voter eligibility. Demand documentation that citizens aren't required to provide. Create intimidating presence that discourages people from voting. Sources indicate Stephen Miller already demanded removal of amendment that would prevent ICE from deporting citizens. If they want authority to deport citizens, they certainly want authority to question voters. There's specific concern about Minneapolis and other cities that resisted ICE operations. Trump might order intensive enforcement operations in those areas right before elections. Not because they serve legitimate law enforcement purpose, but because they create chaos and fear, suppressing Democratic turnout. When you terrorize communities for months, when you kill people's neighbors, they might be too frightened to show up at polling places. Reports indicate Democrats aren't presenting concrete plans to counter this threat. They're expressing concern, but not explaining how they'll protect polling places, how they'll ensure people can vote without fear of ICE presence. Without specific security measures, Democrats might face midterms where ICE successfully suppresses votes. Make sure you're subscribed to Patrick Smith Show because when communities nationwide are rejecting ICE facilities, when international officials are calling ICE violent militia, Democrats have overwhelming evidence that Trump's immigration enforcement has failed catastrophically. They should run on comprehensive indictment, promise to dismantle ICE and create humane immigration system. So what should Democrats and international community actually do? Sources suggest Milan mayor showed what leadership looks like by publicly rejecting ICE presence. Other officials should follow that example. Olympic Committee could release statement establishing security standards that exclude law enforcement organizations with documented records of killing unarmed people. California officials should announce now that 2028 Olympics will not involve ICE presence at venues. There's accountability dimension for Democrats taking Congress in 2026. They need comprehensive investigation of ICE operations with specific focus on killings and rights violations. Build detailed record documenting pattern of misconduct. Then pass legislation restricting ICE authority and requiring individual agent accountability. Democrats should run explicitly on dismantling ICE and prosecuting abuses. Consider what sporting events represent to Trump personally. He doesn't care about policy details. He cares about spectacle, attention, appearing powerful. Sporting events provide those opportunities without requiring actual work. He wants validation and feeling important. Gets photographed with athletes and celebrities without demonstrating knowledge or capability. That's why he's planning UFC event on White House lawn for his birthday. Milan mayor publicly called them militia that kills. That's unprecedented language justified by ICE's record. Communities nationwide are rejecting ICE facilities, proving resistance works. Milan creates precedent for Los Angeles 2028, where California can exclude ICE. If that threatens athletes' safety enough that boycotts become real, Trump faces choice between limited role or watching Olympics canceled. Electoral implications are significant. If Olympics are embarrassing disaster, that becomes closing argument against Republicans. But achieving that requires Democrats acting boldly, running on dismantling ICE, and building accountability framework. Whether Democrats rise determines whether resistance translates into electoral victories. Stay tuned.